How's it going, everybody? You're watching That About Tech, and today I'm gonna answer one simple question. Which Apple TV should you buy right now in 2020? So there's actually quite a lot to talk about. So let's begin. So Apple is currently selling two different Apple TV models, the Apple TV HD and the Apple TV 4K. And I'm gonna talk about both of them. I'm gonna compare them head to head, and I'm gonna explain why the Apple TV 4K is better, but only if you wanna get the 32GB model. That's actually the sweet spot. That's the one you should get. So let's begin with the comparison very quickly. So first of all, the Apple TV HD is called Apple TV 4th generation. Okay, so it was released 5 years ago in 2015, so it's pretty old, and as the name suggests, it only supports HD, full HD. So it doesn't support 4K at all. On top of that, it uses the A8 processor, so that's the exact same processor the iPad Air 2 uses. So again, a very old processor and a pretty slow one. And the Apple TV HD is priced at $149, so $150. Right, now let's talk about the Apple TV 4K. So it is not brand new either. It was released 3 years ago in 2017, so it's not brand new, but it is capable of 4K, and not only that, it is also capable of HDR, Dolby Vision, and Dolby Atmos. So then you're gonna get the best quality you can regarding image and sound with this pretty little box right here. Again, the Apple TV HD is not compatible, is not capable of any of that. On top of that, we have a much better processor. So on the Apple TV 4K, we have the A10X processor. That's the exact same processor as the iPad Pro 2nd generation, but anyways, a very great processor for such a tiny little thing, and especially because tvOS, which is the operating system both those Apple TV run, is not very heavy, is not very complicated or anything like that. So the A10X processor is gonna blaze through anything that you need. Okay, and on top of that, we have to talk about price, of course. The 32GB version is priced at $179, and the 64GB version is priced at $199. So let's talk about the best choice you have here. So again, if you spend $30 more, so $149 to $179, you can upgrade from the HD to the 4K, and not only you're getting the better quality with 4K of image, of sound, like I talked about, but you're getting the best processor, and you're getting more and more support, because again, the Apple TV 4th generation was released 5 years ago, and the Apple TV 4K, also called 5th generation, was released 3 years ago. So you're gonna get a much newer device, even though it's not brand new, but you're gonna get years of support to come. You're gonna get faster performance in general, so there's no doubt about that. And for $30, that's definitely worth it. And if you ask me, you don't want to get the 64GB version, because those devices are pretty much used for streaming and for AirPlay, so mirroring your devices, so you're not going to store pretty much anything on them, so you don't really need the extra storage. So it's just another $30 to get the 64 version, but you're not $20, sorry, to get the 64 version, but you're not going to use it. There's no point. There are some valid arguments of people saying, okay, but if you get the Apple TV HD compared to the 4K, you're pretty much not going to notice the difference if you're just using for streaming videos and TV shows and for AirPlay and things like that, because the processor is not going to make a big difference on that. And that's quite true. You're pretty much going to notice the difference when you're gaming or doing some more heavy stuff. And also you're gonna say, oh, but don't worry about a lifelong of support. Don't worry about Apple not supporting the device, because for example, the Apple TV 3rd generation, which is this one, the very thin one, is like 8 years old, and Apple still supports it. Yes, and it lasts a long time, but you're gonna get at least 2 more years of support, because one is 2015, one is 2017, and also it's not about how fast it is now, it's about how fast it will be 1 year or 2 years or in 5 years. That's a big difference. Out of the box, those are going to be very similar in performance, the HD and the 4K, but in a few years you're gonna notice the difference. There's another very important thing, which is the 4K compatibility. A lot of people are also gonna say, okay, but my TV is not 4K, so I can't use 4K content, or I don't have Dolby Atmos or Dolby Vision or HDR. I have a pretty much simple TV at home, or a monitor, a simple one, so I'm not gonna take advantage of that. So that's a valid argument. You're gonna say, oh, I'm gonna spend $30 more to get the 4K version if I can't use 4K. That's a valid argument. But there's the processor thing. It's not only the 4K. If it was exclusively the 4K, I would say, okay, get the Apple TV HD, because you're not going to use the 4K. You can't use 4K. But there's the processor. That's the thing of having more a longer lifespan, having more years of support, and being faster for longer. So just that processor on its own is worth the $30. On top of that, you have the 4K compatibility, and maybe now you don't have a TV with 4K, but you may get one in 2, 3, or 5 years, and your Apple TV is going to be there, ready and compatible for when you do that. So then, again, that's a very, very easy argument right there. So that's pretty much it. I just wanted to give you my take on this. Which Apple TV should you buy? Making a comparison right now in 2020, giving you all the explanations. And of course, if you don't need to buy an Apple TV now, maybe you should hold a little bit, wait a few months, because we should have a brand new Apple TV to come by the end of the year. But if you need to get one right now, go with the 4K 32 gigs. That's the best value you can get. It's an amazing product. It's going to deliver everything that you want, and it's priced very well. So that's pretty much it, and I'll be back in a few days. Bye bye.